Thiagi. This is Take 5 with Thiagi. Today's segment explores a piece of practical advice on how to make use of feedback. Here is the advice. Treat every feedback session as a collaborative, problem-solving conversation. Let's apply this piece of advice to a real situation in your workplace. Imagine one of your colleagues comes late to work every day. You want to give him feedback to change his behavior. How do you give him feedback? Let's assume you want to be a motivating leader. So you spout out some inspiring quotations, such as the one from Vince Lombardi, who said that if you don't arrive 15 minutes ahead of time, you are late. However, if you're like me, you give feedback by laying down the law. You make sarcastic remarks, scream, threaten, blackmail, nag, lecture, or preach. It's obvious none of these approaches will help you achieve your goal, unless your goal is to humiliate your colleague. That's not your goal, or is it? The advice recommends problem solving. I don't know what your approach to problem solving is, but I use a simple 3-step procedure. Find the gap between what you want to happen and what's actually happening. Discover the root causes for this gap and come up with a suitable intervention to remove these causes. In our example, here is the gap. You want your colleague to come at work at 9 a.m. He habitually arrives at 11. Causes: laziness and selfishness. Here is the intervention. Explaining the consequences of being late. You can strengthen this intervention by suitably punishing your colleague's late arrival and by providing incentives for arriving on time. This advice also recommends a collaborative problem solving. That means you don't do all the thinking and talking. You don't unilaterally specify the gap, discover the causes, and invent interventions. You do all these things jointly with your colleague. You ask questions and listen to him. Maybe in his view there is no gap. The expectation is that he should put in 7 hours of work every day. He does just that by working at home. Or the gap is between his flex time approach and your punching the clock approach. In terms of not arriving at 9 a.m., maybe he has some health problems. Also, he is an evening person and not a morning person like you. His preferred intervention is coming up with a more flexible approach to schedule management. These differences among your perceptions are actually the beginning of a creative negotiation conversation. This conversation will take time and it will be time well spent. You will come up with a mutually agreeable solution. The piece of feedback you began with will produce useful results and strengthen your relationship. So here is the piece of advice again. Treat every feedback session as a collaborative problem-solving session. Try this approach for the next 7 days at your workplace and at home. Thank you.